What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's episode we're going to be working on an NA Miata, which is a first generation of the Miata or MX-5, and this car is set up to run in the Champ car class. Now we're going to be putting on a partial front clip, and it's going to be used parts, so stay tuned. Alright, so the customer brought us this car from Savannah, Georgia. Now he's going to be doing all of his own paint work. All he wants us to do is repair the left quarter panel. We're going to be putting the new front clip on, well, the used front clip on, and we're going to be doing all the frame work. So let's go ahead and get this thing up on the frame machine and get it clamped down. Alright, so we've got this thing up on the frame machine and got it clamped down. We can go ahead and take these front wheels off now and get the cradle dropped out of the way so we can get some measurements and get these frame rails pulled to where they need to be. Alright, so now that we've got this thing pulled where we want it to be, got all the measurements done, everything looks good, let's go ahead and start cutting off these damaged parts. We're going to be using a Sawzall, and we're also going to be using a drill to drill out some of the spot welds. Now, when we get all this cut off, we'll be making way for the new parts. Well, technically they're used parts, but they're new to this car. Alright, so we've got all of our damaged parts cut off this car. So now we can get our used front end, bring it in the building, get it set up so we can start drilling it apart. Now this is where using used parts takes more time and is harder because you have to drill everything off twice. And when you're drilling off everything on the used parts, you have to be super careful not to damage the stuff that you need. Alright, so we've got all the spot welds drilled on this used front assembly, but the parts we want to get off, which is the right rail assembly with the apron and the front radiator support, I'm trying to get all that stuff to come loose and it's just not wanting to budge. So we're going to break out the plasma cutter and start cutting away some of the panels next to the panels we need to try to free it up. Now we're going to have to be super careful with this plasma cutter because it can do a lot of damage to the parts that we want to use, and that wouldn't be good. Alright, so the plasma cutter worked like a champ. We got the parts that we needed separated from this used front end. Now we can start cleaning up the edges on these parts in preparation for fitting them on the car and getting everything welded. We can also take what's left of this used front end outside and put it in the metal pile. Now let's set this new / used front section on the car and see how well it fits. Alright, so this used front end sat outside for a while and all the threaded bolt holes are rusty. So we're going to take this tap and chase all the threads and clean them all up. That way we won't have any problems when we're putting on these parts for fitment. So the customer didn't bring any sheet metal or his front bumper cover for this car, and as you guys know, we always like to double check everything by hanging all the sheet metal on the front of the car. So I'm going to borrow everything we need from a friend of mine named David, and he has everything except the right front fender. Now, he has one, but it's kind of damaged, and we set it up there and it's kind of sitting funny with the door, so I went ahead and ordered a brand new aftermarket front fender for this thing, for the right side. And while we're waiting on it to come in, let's go ahead and get this cradle bolted up in here. Alright, so we've got all the parts test fit. The front end is all clamped and screwed together and everything measured out. So we're going to pull it back apart and start welding this thing back together. Alright, so we've got this front end all welded up. So now let's move to the quarter panel and get it all repaired and primed. Alright, so we've got everything done that we were supposed to get done to the car. Now the customer's going to come pick it up and he's going to be handling the paint on this car. And from what I understand, he's going to be painting this thing orange, and he sent me some footage of this thing painted, so let's check this thing out.
Nothing sucks more than that moment in an argument that you realize that you were wrong.
Now that's true. Alright, so that's going to be about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and clicking on the bell icon. That way you won't miss any future content. If you have any thoughts or questions, leave it in the comment section down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. See ya!